From black and gold dominance to a mascot who's somehow less intimidating than their actual gameplay, the Boston Bruins are more than just a hockey team. They're a Boston institution. Whether you love them for their grit or hate them for crushing your team's playoff dreams, there's no denying they've skated their way into history. Oh, and did we mention they were founded in 1924? Yeah, they've been hitting pucks longer than most of us have been alive, and breaking hearts since day one. All right, let's get this Bruins party started. We're diving deep into the good, the bad, and the ugly of Boston hockey. We'll talk about the moments that made us scream, the ones that made us cry, and the ones that made us question our life choices. So sit back, relax, and let's relive the glory days of the Bruins. The birth of a franchise, 1924 to 1929. The Boston Bruins were born on November 1st, 1924, becoming the first American team to join the National Hockey League, founded by grocery magnate Charles Adams. The team represented Adams' love for hockey and his desire to bring the sport to the United States. Adams hired Art Ross as the team's first general manager and head coach, a decision that would shape the Bruins' identity for decades. Ross, a hockey innovator, designed the team's original brown and gold uniforms, inspired by Adams' grocery stores. Although their inaugural season was tough, with only 6 wins in 30 games, the Bruins showed promise. By the late 1920s, they began assembling a roster that would eventually lead them to glory. The first Stanley Cup, 1929 to 1939. In 1929, the Bruins captured their first Stanley Cup, led by Eddie Shore, one of hockey's most iconic figures. Known for his aggressive play and relentless work ethic, Shore embodied the Bruins' tough-as-nails attitude. This championship victory set the tone for what the Bruins would become. The 1930s were a period of highs and lows. While the Bruins continued to dominate during the regular season, playoff success eluded them for much of the decade. Yet stars like Shore, Tiny Thompson, and Dit Clapper kept fans hopeful and entertained. The Bruins' golden era. The 1930s and 1940s saw the emergence of legends like Milt Schmidt, the heart and soul of the Kraut line, alongside Woody Dumar and Bobby Bauer. Together, they brought the Bruins to prominence, clinching Stanley Cups in 1939 and 1941. The camaraderie and skill of this era remain etched in the team's lore. The 1950s and the rise of Willie O'Ree. The 1950s were a transitional decade for the Bruins, marked by rebuilding efforts and moderate success. However, 1958 was a landmark year in hockey history when Willie O'Ree made his debut with the Bruins, becoming the first black player in the NHL. His courage and perseverance broke racial barriers and inspired generations to come. O'Ree's impact extended far beyond the rink, solidifying the Bruins' role in shaping not just hockey, but sports culture. Post-war struggles and rebuilding. The Bruins faced a challenging period. The league expanded, and the Bruins found it harder to compete with emerging teams. But this era wasn't without highlights. Players like Johnny Bukic and Fern Flaman kept fans hopeful. As the 1960s progressed, the team began laying the groundwork for a new era of dominance, drafting young talents who would change the face of hockey. The Bobby Orr Era. Drafted in 1966, this young defenseman revolutionized the game. His incredible skating, offensive prowess, and defensive reliability turned the Bruins into a powerhouse. In 1970, Orr's famous flying goal secured the Bruins' first Stanley Cup in nearly 30 years. It was a moment that defined not just a team, but an entire city's love for hockey. Orr would go on to win 2 Stanley Cups with the Bruins and 8 consecutive Norris trophies as the league's best defenseman, the Big Bad Bruins. While Orr was the face of the Bruins, the 1970s saw the rise of the Big Bad Bruins. Players like Phil Esposito, the league's top scorer, and goaltender Jerry Cheevers brought grit and determination. The Bruins captured another Stanley Cup in 1972, cementing themselves as one of the most dominant teams of the decade. Off the ice, the Bruins became synonymous with toughness, earning respect and fear across the league. The long wait and modern stars. The post-1970s years were bittersweet. Though the Bruins remained competitive, they faced a long Stanley Cup drought. Ray Bourque, a franchise cornerstone, carried the torch, becoming one of the greatest defensemen of all time. Bourque's commitment and leadership were second to none, though a championship eluded him in Boston. Meanwhile, Cam Neely embodied the Bruins' physical yet skillful identity. Despite their efforts, the elusive cup remained just out of reach, with heartbreaking losses in the 1988 and 1990 finals. The year of glory. 49 years after their last championship, the Bruins roared back to the top. The 2011 playoffs were a test of grit as the Bruins battled past rivals to face the Vancouver Canucks in the finals. With standout performances by goaltender Tim Thomas, captain Zdeno Chara, and forwards like Patrice Bergeron, the Bruins won Game 7 on the road, delivering a long-awaited Stanley Cup to Boston. Recent years and legacy. In the 2010s, the Bruins continued to contend. They reached the Stanley Cup Finals in 2013 and 2019, falling just short of victory. Today, players like Brad Marchand and David Pastrnak carry the torch, embodying the team's storied tradition. The Boston Bruins' history is a testament to perseverance, evolution, and a love for the game. From the roaring 1920s to today, the Bruins have carved out a legacy that will inspire generations of fans. With 6 Stanley Cups and countless unforgettable moments, the Boston Bruins have etched their name in hockey history. From the glory of the past to the promise of the future, the Bruins are more than a team. They're the heart and soul of Boston. They're a symbol of the city's toughness, its love for the game, and its never-say-die attitude. Thanks for joining us on this journey through Boston Bruins team history. Did we miss anyone? Let us know in the comments below, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for more videos of team history. Until next time, stay legendary.